Well, hi.
I am now animated. Now, if you have at least an eye drop's worth of sanity left, you might be wondering why I thought this was a good idea. Long story short, I thought it would be good practice for drawing in the same way that playing Operation is practice for sticking a fork in a toaster. I forgot where I was going with this. I need to pay off the crippling debt from the first game, so I'd better start making another one. So anyway, I decided to make an Earthbound inspired RPG. But wait, there's a twist! So most of us can agree that turn-based combat sucks. But you know a game that has combat that doesn't suck? Extremely goofy skateboarding. So basically, I'm going to have an RPG but replace the turn-based combat with an FPS. So the literal only reason you play these games is for the story and because nobody likes the gameplay. I don't want to spoil the story, mainly because I have barely any of it written, but the basic plot is that some guy gets trapped in a sketchbook and then he has to leave, I guess. Obviously, I can't tell you that much about it, but that's alright. I'll just change the font size so that the script is longer. So, combat? I don't want this game to be like my last one. Listen, I am going to be 100% honest. This game sucks! Yeah, I beat my kids, how could you tell? But really, it does. The movement was boring, but I'll get into that later. The combat is garbage though. The final boss is alright, but the rest of it was hot garbage. Basically, the main problems were lack of options and lack of variety. In the Funny Burger game, you have two attacks, a melee attack and then some secondary thing which is usually better than your melee anyway, so why use the melee? Every attack would kill most enemies in one hit, and there were literally no other combat mechanics outside of the bare bones stuff. Also, there were only like 2 or 3 enemies in the game, one of which was an Unga Bunga caveman turnip thing that ran towards you mindlessly, and the other was an engineer sentry accepted as crippling depression. He couldn't even hit you most of the time because he didn't aim towards you because I didn't know how to make that. Instead, he just looked in the opposite direction that you were. In other words, he could only hit you if you looked directly at him. He also had projectiles slower than my brain, so he could only hit you if you were blind, deaf, in a coma, and on fire. Then he might be able to hit you. And then there was an ice cream guy who was literally just both of the other scripts on top of one object. Yeah, so the point of that rant was that I want the combat to be deeper. So I just started pulling a Danny, rest in peace, and stealing from other games that I liked. I thought that just playing a point-and-click adventure was going to be a bit boring, so I thought that adding beat-em-up combos would be nice. The way it would work is that every time you got a hit, your combo meter would go up and you would deal a bit more damage, and it would go up with your combo meter. And then obviously it would reset if you miss or go too long without committing assault with intent to kill or something. And then I was going to do the very original and absolutely genius strategy of making enemies drop more loot the closer you are to them. On a completely unrelated note, one problem I have with the shooting genre is the weapons. I can personally guarantee you that everybody who isn't a direct descendant of George Washington probably has this opinion, but I think that guns are a little overused. I think they're fine if they are used creatively, i.e. the entirety of Ultra Kill, but usually I think that guns are boring and overused. It's like, whoa, you have a shotgun! Welcome to the club. I want to have unique weapons you won't find in any other game. For example, filling a trash can with angry raccoons and then throwing it at somebody. Or using a ceiling fan as a ramming shield / helicopter. Or Spy's knife from Team Fortress, except it has a few more flip out parts.
I am the spy.
I have more examples, I just want to keep them a secret. I also wanted every weapon to have a primary fire and an alt fire because I wanted the most bang for my buck. That way, I only have to draw half the weapons and you could have more inventory space or something. Another thing I think is boring in the shooter genre is the movement. Most shooters feel like you're walking in cement that's actually made out of mashed potatoes. And then somebody decided to add a bunch of movement options and make the movement better. And that's fun, but I want my game to be different. You know a game with good movement? Mario Odyssey. The whole game is just about putting a ton of movement options into a blender and then using them to jump from building to building. So I should probably add that too. Problem is, I guarantee you I'll just end up reinventing the wheel and making myself a steamroller. But I thought I could have stuff like a roll, a double jump, a slide, and then some weapon-based stuff. For example, you could do a roll, cancel it into a slide hop for a bit to speed up, and then use the force of nature to boost yourself even farther. It's not that complicated, but I'm out of ideas, so too bad. Oh yeah, I should probably mention the art style. Imagine the original Doom, except it looks like it was drawn by a psychotic child on a bus that was doing barrel rolls down a hill. Or in layman's terms, it looks very bad because I'm completely unable to draw. I mean, look at me. Look at me. Look at me! I look like John Arbuckle. I need to add a few more sentences to this script, so why not talk about how levels are going to work. Basically, you'd have a normal RPG overworld and then some Zelda dungeons for the actual level part. And then for the random battles, you'd basically just be magically teleported to some small room filled with enemies, and that's how it would work, I guess. I'm kind of running things to talk about here that won't spoil the entire game, so I guess I'm going to talk about game modes now. Obviously, you'd have the story mode, but then I wanted to add an online mode. Now, the last time I made an online mode, it went so badly that I had to take down the entire video. And if you talk about it, I will give you death by 1,000 cuts, press the undo button on the last cut, and then drown you in lemon juice. All jokes aside, it was horrible. There was only one mode and it was really hard to tell what the point of the game even was, and the map was boring. Also, you could run through the wall for some reason, that was pretty funny. But for the next game, I wanted to be better. My friend made me play Overwatch for the school esports team, and it taught me one thing about game design. Teammates suck. Not so much my actual teammates, I was mostly the one that made us lose, but the ones I was randomly matched against. I love it when there's an overly cocky 11-year-old Genji who brags about how good he is and then destroys your ears when he loses a 1v1 against Mercy. So for my game, I'm completely getting rid of any and all teamwork and making Joseph Stalin very disappointed in me. This whole section is just me saying that deathmatches are the best mode in the most words possible. It's deathmatches, I don't care what you say. And I'm not talking about one-on-one either. I am going to create the most chaotic game mode of all time. For the weapons I already have planned, you could end up with somebody hitting your bullets back at you, then rocket jumping towards you, only for some guy to use a pogo stick to move towards him at an infinite velocity and then backstab him. That will probably sound better when you can actually play it. I wanted to make a smaller game just to test out the combat, but whatever, it's not that important. I could probably get another video out of that, but other than that, I'm not too sure. Oh, and speaking of videos, there probably aren't going to be a lot of those for a while. I say as I haven't uploaded in 4 months. Long story short, I just don't want to spoil the game. I could make videos about it, but they'd be very few and far between, and also maybe about 2 minutes long at most. I think what I'm going to do is basically make Mario Maker. Sorry, I meant Dario Designer. Yeah, I'm gonna make what is essentially a game engine within a game engine and then use it to create a steaming pile of garbage. Usually there'd be like an outro here, but I don't really know what to put here. The audio quality's probably worse because I'm lazy. That's pretty cool. I could make a demo of this game maybe and then like make an update about it. I don't know. Well, sorry for harassing you, so goodbye.